Well, Mr. Rick, here's your box. I just got off the phone with Mr. Rick, and we're talking about this beautiful gem of an amplifier, and he says he wants me to bypass the driver's section. It's got a blown transistor in it. Wants me to make it high drive, add sideband to it, and clean it up. Okay. Let's do just that. So I just washed it. This is after it's been washed. You should have seen it a few minutes ago. Ew. So now we got all the corrosion out from around the transistors. I got to reflow most of these solder pads. This looks like asshole. Let's see. This is a 6A, 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 5G, 1C, and 1C. It's been burned up a couple times. This is cute. It's the wrong value. These are different. These are too small. This is inadequate. That's inadequate. That's inadequate. Oh, okay. Let's start. First, I'm going to rip this whole section up and get it cleaned up. And then I'm going to clean this whole mess up. See, it's already got a high and low on it, with a bypass relay built in it over here. So we got to see how that's wired. Yes, sir. We'll make sure that's working. Because, see, the RF comes in, goes through the relay, comes out the relay, goes to the input, output comes around, goes back through the relay, and then comes out and attaches here. Take all that out. Okay. Yep, I see what I got to do now. All right, I'll be back. Okay, so let's take a hot minute here. Now we know the 2-pill section's blown out, and I got to repair that. It's got a handy dandy high and low switch on it. And what I want to do is I want to see if the 8-pill section's even working. I don't want to spend a bunch of time tearing it apart, making it all pretty and right. Oh boy. Hello. Hello. Wow, okay. Let's make sure we got transistor heat. Hello. Okay. That's all working. So I know these 8 pills are good. Alright. Let's rip it apart. Well, Mr. Rick, we're about halfway here, man. I just wanted to shoot a quick little update on where we're at here. Progression-wise, I couldn't handle having all them tore-up resistors in there and all them tore-up traces. So I took it out and I washed it. I cleaned this thing all up, and then I redid all the solder work on it, make it look all pretty. So far, we've replaced the pill, and we've added your bias resistors, load resistors. We don't have them hooked up yet, though. But Rick, the reason this thing kept burning up on you is somewhere along the line, the miniature coax that goes from this capacitor to this capacitor over to the combiner, somebody decided to add in uneven lengths of coax. I don't know where this came from, but this is way not cool. And the difference between these two having 2 different lengths of coax means the RF will get to the combiner section at a different time, which is the reason this resistor kept burning up. So we removed the 2 100 ohm resistors that you had in there, which is 50 ohms, and we put a 100 ohmer back in there, 5 watt in its place. We also went ahead and we upgraded these 2 output capacitors for you, brother. So that should help it run a whole lot better. But to come in here and clean all the gobbledygook out of here and redo all the pill work and make it so it doesn't look like chicken poop on the inside of the box, that'll help it the most. So let me slap in this new coax that I have laid out here that I've cut, which are exactly the same length. I got to replace the positive wire coming over here to the 2-pill driver section, which I've completely rebuilt. Replace the output capacitor on the secondaries or on the output transformer. Replace that capacitor. And then we're going to wire up your bias circuit, which means I'm probably going to put a relay over here in the corner. That'll work with the key-in circuit, which will turn the 12 volt on and off, and I need to hook a wire to here, here, and here. And then we'll be off to the races and running. So anyhow, through the magic of cinematography, we shall return. Okay, Mr. Rick. It's all done. It's all perfectly wired up. It does 2,000 watts now. I made it so that the striker can hit it. How low switch works. Now we got one small problem that we need to fix. It's actually a pretty big problem. Drywall screws. No. We gotta take the drywall screws out, man. I love the aggressive, high flow, heavy duty, kicking ass, taking names fans. But the drywall screws, they got to go. Give me just a minute, we're gonna do that next. Something we said about high flow fans. Just telling you. Yeah, this guy's got kitty cat stickers all over his amp. I know. It's okay. I don't care. That's what the shit I'm talking about. Big high flow fans. That's cool. Most people are not willing to sit with this much noise in the cab of their truck. But really, high flow fans equal better key down time. Okay, on to the next step. Okay, Rick, here's the last step, man. Alright, 1,000 watt slug in 2X. That's reading like a 2,000 watt slug. 1,000 watt slug in average, 5 watt slug in reverse back from the Bird 10,000 watt dummy load. Then we got the 5 watt slug sitting between the 955 and of course the 2x8. So I'm going to shut the 2x8 off. Audio. About 90 watts input. Talking through the box. Alright. So we're going to turn the amp on. We got it in low, which is just the 8 pill section, which is now fully biased, by the way. Audio. Beautiful input tune. About 1,200 and 400 Bird. So 1,200 peak watts, 400 Bird. The reason I want to show you this is because Rick has asked me to put a little bit of attenuation in this so he can blast it with a striker. He doesn't have to worry about blowing the 2 pill section out of it. Now I had to go in here and I had to add quite a bit of capacitance to the input circuit right here to get the input to lay down. Now, short of the corrosion on the board, everything in this thing is pretty straight now and clean. I went through and I realigned all the 10 ohm resistors so they're in there nice and straight. Like I said, I cleaned up all the solder work on all the transistors, all the pill strips. Other than it being slightly dirty and having a bunch of little other solder marks from a bunch of other people working on it, this thing's actually right. Had to redo your output tuning, so you're going to see a bunch more watts. The way it was tuned when it came in here, this thing wouldn't do anything more than about 1,600 peak, and that was on a good day with a warm breeze going up its skirt. So, let's get back on task. Amp on, 2 pill section engaged. Okay, check this out. Getting our 1,900 watts. So we found 400 watts inside this amplifier that were lost just because of tuning. Now, I don't know who tuned what or how it was tuned. I'm not pointing names or fingers. This thing's been modified a bunch. I think 3 or 4 people have been in this thing. I went through and I moved all these wires. They had all the little green wires that were running everything, running around this side and all intertwined with that and this, that, and the other thing. I went and rerouted everything around, put zip ties to hold everything in place, changed out all the power wire, had to completely resolder the distribution bus. Now I know that this isn't the way it came. Somebody has added this. They added the 2 pill drop section to it because that's not the way Charger does it. They would do it over here. Yeah, there's been a lot of things changed inside this box in its lifetime. But We're just going to go with it because everything is now electrically correct and technically in the right place. And it's cleaner. You should have seen it before I washed it. Oh, wait a minute, you did, if you've seen the pictures at the beginning of the video. So the reason this is important to show, is that I'm now going to add a little bit of input attenuation to it so that the two pills, the two 2290s in here, have a chance of lasting. Now, Rick, as you know, this one transistor was blown, so I replaced it with a brand new Toshiba 2879. You can tell just by looking at it, it's freaking scooching brand new. And your output section's all been replaced at one point or another. I can tell because they're new, and these are even newer than these. These 6 are new, and then these are even newer than those 6. And what that comes from was your output tune being so far out of whack. So now I slid that out and re-glued it in place because it was just covered in hot glue. So that's what it is. This thing's running. So let me put this pad in there, and we're going to see how it affects our input tune and our output wattage. So give me just a second. Okay, Mr. Rick, you now have a high drive 2x8 you can run a striker into, and a striker's happy. So check this out. Still got your 1900 plus watts. And look at your input tune now. Hasn't changed that much. A little bit more bird. Oh, look at the meter on the front of the striker. It's screaming, dude. It's screaming. So let me throw the tin on this thing, because I want to see what it's going to sound like with them 280 CFM blower motors on there, basically. TK Fan, I guess they were sold at Radio Shack for a minute, but not underneath the Radio Shack name. I went and looked those up. They are scooching badass. Those are ball bearing, 2,800 RPM, 280 CFM apiece. So we're moving over 500 CFM worth of pressure through this cabinet, which I think is friggin' awesome. I'm actually going to order a bunch of these, and I'm going to start using these things because they're cool. I got some other high flow fans in here the other day that I've been playing with for a 6-pill box or an 8-pill box that I'm slowly working on for a gentleman by the name of Curtis. I got so many projects freaking covered up. Anywho, let's get the lid on this thing and let's give it the rundown. Okay, so give me just a second. Shit. Okay, we're going to talk about some things. So, high flow fans are only good as long as you can move adequate amount of air through the cabinet. As soon as you get too much back pressure, you end up having a thing called cavitation. Now, I shoot this in 2 parts. I got one friend of mine who is really pushing me. He wants me to put 4 high flow fans like this on his 24 pill. And I keep trying to tell him it won't make any difference. So here I want to show you there's only 2 fans for this amount of airspace. Now I'm telling you we're going to move some air now, but I want to show you the downside. Ready? That's the exhaust air from the back of the cabinet to that piece of paper. And here I want to show you about the cavitation thing. So we're moving it. That's Tony amount of air out of that thing, right? Well, watch. It's not as bad as I thought it'd be. When they start to cavitate really bad, you get a bunch of bleed air that blows back through the fan. And I guess that's just intake turbulence. It's not so bad over here, but over here it's really... But, you know you got a lot of cavitation when it won't suck the paper down to the box. That's no joke. But that's 500 plus CFM's worth of air moving through that cabinet. And I think what they've been fighting is a bunch of heating problems. About 600 bird, about 1900 peak. That's with the striker hitting, Rick. So now we go to the 8-pill and rock it with the 8-pill. Amps. We'll re-engage the 2-pill section. Okay, that's on AM. Now, let's see, how do I want to test this? Do I want it in the 955? Nah. See if we can even get it to get warm with this much air moving through it. I thought for sure that paper would just flutter right off the top of this thing. Okay, we got 74-degree air. Gotta prop that up just right. I'm standing on it really hard. Oh, we got it to come up a whole degree with 2,000 watts all that time. Let's see how quickly it cools off back down to 73. 76. Sure don't feel like 76-degree air. 75. Now, Luke, the data isn't valid if you move the damn meter. And remember that when you shine this point this at something shiny, it'll give you like the coating of the cabinet, it'll give you a false reading. And it doesn't feel like 75-degree air though. And the amount of air that's moving through this thing is just gross. I'm not kidding you, it's like crazy how much air this thing's moving through it. So we're back down to about 73 degrees now. Ain't nothing getting hot inside this thing. There's no way. There's too much air moving through it. Well, Rick, I'd rather listen to that amount of noise and know that I can stand on my box for 6 months. Man, I'm gonna buy me a bunch of those fans. You know, everybody wants quiet. Everybody wants quiet, and every once in a while I got a guy comes along and says, no, I want big, loud, in your face, I'm moving air fans. That's crazy. Rick, you're all done, bro. Top shape. Back to being 100% in order. Gentlemen, my name is BBI, and without a shadow of a doubt, I am the biggest mud duck in Idaho. I want to take a minute and say thank you to everybody that sends me up a project and is patient enough to work with me on letting me be able to rebuild it for them. Try to give everybody a fair shake and do just one amplifier at a time. Guys, I appreciate you tuning in. And if this is your first time tuning into my channel, please, for the love of God, click subscribe, because I'm constantly putting out cool shit like this. It is what I do. It's fun and I enjoy it, and I appreciate you all giving me the opportunity to do it for you. Rick, in your kitty cat covered box, take a picture of that. I'll see you guys. I'm out of here. On to the next project. Bump, bump. BBI gone. Make sure to check me out. YouTube, Facebook, Snapchat, Instagram. Of course, you know, if you're watching this on YouGargler, you know what you're already doing. So, see you. Bye.